What is up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now we're gonna take a look at the third bike in the Zontes 300 series lineup, the X2. Now for 2022 they've called it the X2. A few changes have appeared, nothing special to be honest, just a few cosmetic changes and a few changes to the dashboard from the previous year, just to the menus. If you want to see a video on the dashboard, a full video covering the 2022 dashboard, you can check out the link right up here. But we're gonna take a look at this bike, this sport touring looking motorcycle from front wheel to back wheel, as we usually do, and see exactly what it's all about. So come on, let's take a look. Up front, we have a full array of LED lights. We have LED daytime running lights, LED projector high and low beam, LED turn signal indicators, a fully faired motorcycle that wants to look like a sport touring bike, an upside down fork. This is Zontes normal fork that it uses on all of its motorcycles, a 300mm front brake disc, and a 2-piston Zontes branded caliper. Now the bike rides on the front on a 17-inch rim with 110 by 70 by R17 tires. These are not really special tires, so I would recommend them if you plan on doing proper touring in all kinds of weathers, changing these out for some premium tires like some Bridgestone, some Dunlops or some Michelins. Also, we have a full windscreen that's electrically adjustable, just like we have on the Zontes T lineup of motorcycles. Now it does have a different shape from the T-class bikes, but it uses the same electric mechanism as the T does. Moving around to the sides, we see the same familiar single-cylinder 312cc engine, coupled to a 6-speed gearbox. The engine produces 35 horsepower and 30 Nm of torque. And what has changed for 2022 is the color of these aluminum parts. They used to be a bronze golden color, but now they have gone to a gray style color, better in keeping with the entire motorcycle. Including this cover, including the tips. The tips of the exhaust are still cold touch, like on the previous X1s and X motorcycles. Normal swing arm. And in the rear, we have a full array of LED lights and a 230mm brake disc with a single piston caliper, again a Zontes caliper, but it does the job perfectly. The bike does feature full front and rear ABS for safety, and the brakes really work a treat. Also in the back, besides the full array of LED lights, like I said, we have a luggage rack and also a place where your passenger can hold on to. A rear 17-inch wheel with a 160 by 60 by 17 rear tire, and also this tail section, which really does help in protecting you from the mud or the rain or the water from the road when you ride in adverse weather conditions. In terms of dashboard and switchgear, we have the same Zontes anodized finish that we see on all their 300cc bikes, the same digital display, and also the same controls. Like I said, I've done a video covering every single button and every single menu in the dashboard. In terms of fuel tank, we have a 15-liter fuel tank with an electric popper. Also, the seat popper is electric. And of course, the keyless entry and keyless go system that you can put on a wristband and keep it on your wrist and never have to worry about keys again. Also, adjustable brake and clutch levers. And that's about it for the dashboard situation. Oh yeah, we have a plug, a USB plug right here with 2 USB plugs, not just one. So on the left-hand side of the fairing, on the inside of the fairing, you have 2 USB plugs with quick charge enabled. On the left-hand side, compared to its other 300cc brothers, nothing noteworthy. We have, like I said, a 6-speed gearbox. We have a side stand. There is no center stand on this motorcycle. What I do like to see is the passenger foot pegs, like the rider's foot pegs, are covered with rubber to take away from the vibrations of the engine, because this is still a single-cylinder engine, from the feet of the passenger, giving the passenger a bit of a more comfortable ride. Also, the grab rail here, it may be metal on top, but on the bottom it's rubber, so the passenger can get a proper grip on the railing and be comfortable while riding. Also, the rear shock is adjustable for preload. You have to manually adjust it, but it's doable. And that's just about it, all that can be said about the motorcycle standing still. Now, who is this bike for? It looks like a sport touring motorcycle, fully fared like this, but it just has 35 horsepower and it has a 300cc engine, so it's not gonna be anywhere near sporty. But actually, this is more of a motorcycle for the person who likes the looks of a sport tourer, but really wants the full comfort of a touring motorcycle or an ADV motorcycle. That's why you have the big adjustable windscreen, and that's why you have these huge handlebar risers. Because normally on a sport touring motorcycle, when you sit a little bit forward. Now the seat is about 800 millimeters tall, almost 800. It's quite narrow here, and the seat is very nicely padded with a certain type of gel, I think. So when you get on the bike, even me at 175, I can easily hold the motorcycle upright. And also when riding, I'm not pushed forward like on sport touring bikes with my legs back here. My legs are actually comfortably beneath me in this hole made by the fairing to protect me from the wind. My position is bolt upright exactly as it is on the T. And the handlebars are nice and wide and comfortable. You can easily adjust the windscreen as you go. So it looks like a sport tourer, but it rides like a regular touring motorcycle where you sit upright, no weight on your hands, no weight on your wrists, and as little wind on you as possible. But that's enough chit chat. Let's see how this thing rides. So, riding the X2. First impressions. Now, you may look at this bike and think it's a sport touring motorcycle. Once again, I'm coming back to that because that's what people always ask me. Is this a sport touring bike? It's a touring bike, okay? I won't take anything away from its touring credentials. It's a touring bike, but it ain't no sport touring bike because you're so upright and it's so easy to ride and it's so comfortable that no, this is not a sport tourer. And also with 35 horsepower, it can't be a sport tourer. You know what this is? This is the bike for the person who doesn't like how the T2 looks, doesn't like the spoked wheels, doesn't like the ADV look, but also then again wants a comfortable motorcycle that can easily eat up hundreds and hundreds of kilometers in a single day. In terms of suspension, I can't feel a difference between the fork and the rear shock of the T2 and this one. What I can feel is the difference in the 19-inch front wheel on the T2 and the 17-inch front wheel on this one. It just makes it that little bit more eager to turn in than the T2. But otherwise, in terms of position, in terms of comfort, in terms of dash and control layout, it's everything, it's the same. There's no difference. If you would blindfold me, I would not know the difference whether I'm sitting on an X2 or a T2. They're just that similar. And that's not a bad thing because some people do not like how the T2 looks. I think it looks great, but some don't. They don't want that adventure look. They just want a road motorcycle that's comfortable, that's easy to ride, that's good for long distance trips. You can put panniers on this thing, you can put a top box on this thing. The seat is nicely padded, it's soft, it's supportive, it's comfortable, the position is upright, you will not get fatigued. You have this windscreen that currently it's in its up position and the only wind I have is around my helmet, and that makes it a very, very good and comfortable motorcycle. Even here on these bumps, the suspension soaks them up really nicely. I have no problem with them. And also in terms of engine, it's the same engine that we're used from the R, from the T. It's a pokey little single cylinder that has torque down low, but where it really likes to shine is above 6,000 RPM. So when you give it the beans, above 6,000 is where it wakes up. But you can poodle along at 2,000-3,000 RPM. It has torque for days, no problem whatsoever. Also, this is a light bike. This is about 160 kilograms. So if you're new to riding and you're intimidated by big bikes that are over 200 kilograms, this is just 160 kilograms. It's light. It's only a few kilograms heavier than a small scooter. So it's very easy to handle. With the 17-inch front and rear wheel, it's very eager to turn into the bends. It looks great, it feels great. The LED lighting works a treat in the night. The lighting on this bike is really powerful. It's good during the night time. Gear shift is positive, easy to control, easy to handle. Like I've said, for the person that wants a touring motorcycle but doesn't really like how the T2 looks, this is a great option. I mean, I'm pushing it through bumps, through holes, through everything we have here in the yard, and it's taking them in its stride like it's nothing. Sure, you have to be mindful of gravel because it's on not too premium road tires, but if it's proper asphalt and not this gravelly stuff, it can cope with it without any kind of problem. They have decent amount of grips as long as it doesn't rain. When it does rain, it gets a little bit iffy. Brakes, strong brakes. ABS is not too intrusive. It's the same ABS and the same brakes that you can basically find on the other 300cc bikes from Zontes. Single brake disc up front. For this class of motorcycle, honestly, with this weight and the power it has, it doesn't need twin brake discs up front. It's good enough with just a single brake disc. It can handle it, no problem. Now, the brakes on this bike are currently brand new, so they're not quite properly bedded in, but let's get it up to speed and just yank on the levers a little bit. Like I said, no problem. They're still not bedded in, but they have plenty of stopping power. I know for a fact that once they get a couple of 100 kilometers in them and you bed the pads in properly, the brakes are much more stronger. But even like this, they're perfectly fine. They have enough stopping power to bring the bike to a halt in case of an emergency. And the ABS, it's modern ABS. I think Bosch is the ABS for this bike. It works exactly as it should. Interference only when needed, both on the front and on the rear. So there's no way to lock up any wheel on this bike and dump it on its side. And that's about it for the Zontes X. It's a nice bike. It's a touring motorcycle that looks like a sport tourer, but it's actually as comfortable as an ADV or a touring bike. Perfect for doing hundreds and hundreds of kilometers or poodling around the city and using the torque of the engine. In terms of speed, it can easily do highway speeds. It can go up to about 150, 160 kilometers if you really push it. But its cruising speed, its comfortable cruising speed is about 110, 120 kilometers an hour. That's where it's the happiest. That's where it wants to sit all day. So if you're looking for a small, light, sport touring motorcycle that drinks about 3 liters per every 100 kilometers while on the road, and with a 15-liter fuel tank, you have about 500 kilometers of range here if you're mindful of the fuel consumption. So if you want a touring bike that doesn't look like an ADV but is as comfortable as an ADV and frugal as a small 300cc class bike is, check this thing out. You might be surprised at just how good it actually is. But until next time, guys, thank you so very much for watching. Take care out there and ride safe. Goodbye.